It's Armenia's top talent Haik Martirosyan taking on the world champion Magnus Carlsen. Martirosyan is known for his blitz skills, and Magnus, of course, is the best player on the planet. He's adjusting his pieces. Does he want to put all his pieces on the central squares, right in the center of the square? Or is he just sort of, channeling his energy into the pieces, telling them we need to do a good job today? Well, as things stand, this is the first round of day 2 of World Blitz. So we have guests who have come in, and the first move has to be made to open the round. And that's the reason why Magnus says, please play the move b4. Well, it's one of those moves which Magnus has played in online chess, and so b4 has been played. But Magnus has a very nice joke in his mind, and I think we're soon going to see what that is going to be. The guests now go down from the stage, and we are going to start the round very soon. But before that, Daniel Dubov and Anish Giri have something to say.
Yeah, just it's crazy. Touch move, please.
I didn't touch it.
Both of them said to Magnus, it's touch to move, so you have to play b4. Magnus saying, I didn't touch the pawn. The guest did, but Magnus pulls his pawn backwards, smiles there, plays b3. Martirosyan sort of acknowledges it with a smile himself, and off we go. We have a very mainline position in the b3 variation, and bishop comes out to c5. Magnus puts his pawn on d3, hitting the center. This has been played before, and 19 games have been played. Knight d4, ed4, and Martirosyan has to decide, does he want to give a check here? Does he want to go back to e7 or go back to b6? He goes back to b6. Now, in this position, you will see that Black's idea is to play d5 followed by castles, and if he manages to do that, Magnus would be not doing well at all, because his bishop on b2 would be hemmed in. So what are the options here? Well, one option is that you can play knight to d2, and after ed3, bishop d3, the position can continue. So knight d2 is definitely a possibility. Can we play c4, stopping d5? Well, after c6, the problem is d5 is still coming in, and you have opened up this nice diagonal for your bishop. So in such a position, Black would be doing pretty well after something like castles. The other option now is knight c3, but then d5, and already I prefer Black's position. You see Magnus taking a lot of time here. Maybe he's thinking about queen e2, but after castles, takes, you cannot do this because rook e8 loses the queen. So all these options are not really so amazing for white. And it seems like Magnus wants to figure out a way which would give him at least something to press forward with the white pieces. We are just 7 moves into the game. But he's taking a lot of time, and he's more than a minute down now. And he takes the pawn on e4. Wonder what he was thinking there. All these lines which we just discussed. Bishop d3 played, and now Magnus speeding it up. But if you see, Black is now going to push his pawn to d5, cement his knight on e4. That's exactly what Martirosyan does. But Magnus is now moving very quickly. He castles, Black castles as well. And he plays his knight to d2. Now, a very good move here would be just bishop f5. And then you have developed everything. You can put your pawn on c6, queen on d7, rook moves to the center, and it's a perfect position. But Martirosyan decides to take on d2, queen d2, and he prefers this kind of a position. But this is still equal. However, Magnus's moves do look easy now. After queen f6, he can bring his rook into the center of the board with rook a e1. And maybe Martirosyan has to be careful, because then the bishop can pop out to a3. That's exactly what he does. And now look, bishop a3 attacking the rook. Rook e8 is impossible. If you go rook d8, then I have my bishop plonking in on e7 square, creating a double attack. So very important for Martirosyan to move his bishop here. But where do you move? You can play bishop e6, but if you do that, then after rook e3 and rook f3, maybe it's not the best there. The bishop on e6 is not so well placed. You can think of playing bishop f5, but after takes and rook e7, this is a position somehow you don't like. The rook is on the 7th rank. So you're wondering what exactly to do, and the best move here perhaps is bishop d7, connecting the rooks, and that is exactly what Martirosyan does. fantastic move, but with this he has narrowed down the time lead that he had, and now we are down to just 15-second difference. Magnus plays a4. Look at this move. He wants to play a5 to trap the bishop. Now black can play the move a5 here, but then this pawn could become weak. Also, Magnus is planning to put his bishop on a3. He goes c6. Interesting move. And queen b4. Nice move, because you are threatening a5 and then the pawn on b7 would be hanging. How do you meet such a move? The best way is to play bishop c7, because then if you take, there's queen d6 followed by the queen getting trapped here. However, he plays queen d8, and his idea could be that right now he doesn't want to allow a5 and he himself threatens bishop a5 to win the rook. So how does Magnus continue here? Magnus has a very nice move at his disposal. Can he find it? That is bishop a3 hitting the rook. Because once you play bishop a3, bishop a5 is no longer a threat. You can take the pawn on b7, e1 hangs, then f8 also hangs. He finds it. Magnus Carlsen plays his bishop to a3, and in this ultra symmetrical position, he is pressing his opponent. This is what is amazing about Magnus, and I think Martirosyan had either underestimated this move or he had missed it completely. He needs to now decide what should he do, because he can play queen c7 connecting his rooks, but then something like rook e7 is irritating. The rook moves into the 7th rank. Also bishop a5, you are calculating queen takes b7, bishop e1, bishop f8, and then you go on this line. Maybe it's not working out so well. So rook e8 played, Magnus simply chops it off. Queen takes needed to be played, because if you played bishop takes, it's mate in one, queen f8. So after queen takes, he pushes his pawn to a5 and asks Martirosyan, where are you taking your bishop, because b7 is hanging. So Haik goes bishop c7, Magnus chops off a pawn, but remember the pawn on a5 is hanging, so black recovers his material. But now Magnus puts his bishop on c5 and says, look, your pawn on a7 is weak. I am better here. I am pressing. Well, Martirosyan also low on time now. How the tables have turned all of a sudden. 30 seconds for Haik, 56 seconds for Magnus Carlsen. What does he do next? Haik here, he maybe wants to go rook b8, queen a7, rook a8, and maybe the queen is trapped. Well, something like this, rook b8, queen takes a7, rook a8, queen b7, and then you have to play this very weird move, bishop a7. And so therefore he plays rook b8, but Magnus is not even tempted by taking the pawn. He goes queen a6 and now bishop b6, offering to exchange the bishops. Now look at this move. If Magnus can find this queen a1, connecting the rook, threatening rook e1, and if bishop c5, dc5, the queen's diagonal will open up. Will Magnus find this move? What do you think? This is a great move, and Magnus finds it. What a nice move. Geometrical. It's so geometrical, so nice. He finds that move to connect the rooks. Bishop e6. The rook comes to the open file, pins the bishop. Queen d7. Queen comes to c1. He wants to put the queen on the f4 square. It will be standing well there. Bishop c5. Not the best decision now. d4 is what Martirosyan wanted to play. But now look at this. The rook is hanging there. He plays rook d8. Magnus goes h4. Again, a classy move. Taking away back rank threats and threatening h5 h6. Queen d5 played. And now rook comes up to e5. Martirosyan unhappy. He has to move his queen back. And the h-pawn moves forward, threatening to play h6. If you yourself play h6, there's queen e4 threatening queen h7. So he goes queen e7 and now queen e4. Double attack on c6 and h7. So he plays g6. Magnus chops off a pawn. He's now 2 pawns up. Rook c8. A huge blunder, because now you can take the rook. Bishop c8 and rook e7. And there you have it. Martirosyan is unhappy that he blundered the rook. What a game by Magnus. In a completely symmetrical position, he managed to turn the screws on his opponent, and somehow Magnus managed to beat him. Beautiful play by the world champion, and Martirosyan did try his hardest, but somehow Magnus managed to beat him. Beautiful game there.
Life is full of exciting events, but it is our first impressions that we remember best. Your first diploma, Your first job in a big company. Unforgettable emotions from the first date. The first expensive things you bought when you got your first paycheck. And your first investments with Freedom Broker. Freedom Broker. Look at your favorite brands from a new perspective.